Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Levitated. This is Frogman, and today we were going to do a few things, and unfortunately, I got to those few things getting them started, and it didn't work the way I wanted it to work, so we're going to start over with the entirety of the process. I was hoping to use applied energistics to help us produce the orchid correctly, or at least the way that I wanted to make this orchid ignium work correctly, that we made several episodes ago, or at least a couple episodes ago, because I wanted to use a specific flower that's rather friendly to the nether, which is the thermal lily. And the thermal lily uses let's put a hole over here, uses lava to produce mana. So what we need to do is we need to be able to use, just basically place lava next to this little flower. And I was hoping, because we have extra cells, to be able to use the ME fluid formation planes. Apparently, I do not know how applied energistics works. Hence the reasoning why we're not doing this, because of the fact that I kind of thought that we could make things work. I recorded an entire episode, and then I went on the wiki and did a little bit of reading and found out that this no worky the way I thought it worky kind of thing. It does not do what I thought it was going to do. So let me explain what I was trying to do. Basically, what we were trying to do is we were trying to import lava into the system, into a storage, and then we were going to use the formation planes, which formation planes will basically place whatever you tell them to in front of themselves. This is a problem because it has to place it in front of itself as though it is a storage system. So let me see, do I still have this open now that I've got this all Googled up and found? Let me get this page open. An ME formation plane is a part designed to place or drop any item or fluid into any item put into the ME network. It functions as a storage similar to how an ME storage bus works. So items that are added to the network are dropped or placed passively. You can configure it to, put down whatever specific item or fluid that you want to do, and the items are placed instantly. When the important part here is the items are placed instantly when they enter the network, not if they're sitting in the network. When they enter it. So that means I have to pump fluid into the network, into a single set storage, and then expect all of those to place at the exact same time, and then those all place at the exact same time, and then those all place at the exact same time without backing up, screwing up, or melting one of my very precious flowers. So we're not going to do that. We're going to use something different. I was hoping that the entirety of last episode was going to be to lead towards something along the lines that we were going to be able to use applied energistics to automate this process. That is not happening. So, fun. Now, I just got done recording about 45 minutes worth of footage, and well, I don't really feel like sending it out, mainly because of the fact that it's not going to work, and it is what it is. We make mistakes, we learn things, and we do things. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of rework this idea. We're not going to use applied energistics at all to do it, so we don't need any of this. And I have way too much stuff in my inventory. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and collect all of my thoughts back up, and we're going to work through the plan. Well, I guess plan B at this point, considering the fact that I've got about 3 or 4 different ways I can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this little platform, and then we can go back to talking about a couple of things. So I will be back with you guys in just a little bit. Alrighty then, we are currently back at the base, and I need to do a couple of things because I'm going to change my mind on how we do stuff, so I need a bunch of those. That is not what I wanted. Dang it, we're going to have to get those converted back over. No big deal. If I do that over this pool, am I going to get that? I'm going to get 2 of... Ooh, I didn't know I could do that. Okay, we'll just go over here to the main deals. Okay, so what the problem is, again, as we stated, is that the process that I thought we were going to be able to use is not going to work. Mainly because of the fact that Applied Energistics treats those interfaces as a storage, so as things enter and or leave the system, those are considered as storages, which is not what we want. We want something to do all the time. We need it to work. It needs to function. I don't want to have to sit there and try to cycle stuff in and out of my applied energistic system. So we're also going to change the process that I thought I wanted to do, where I thought I was going to use single flowers for these thermal lilies. Instead, we're going to make sure they're floating, because these are not impossible to craft, but they are kind of a pain in the butt to craft. So a therma lily, I got to get used to the fact I got applied energistics now. Therma lily. This dude right here, a thermal lily, is a rune of fire and a rune of earth and a couple of little flower petals to be able to make it work. And what it does is a thermal lily uses it uses lava to be able to produce a reasonably large amount of mana for the generational kind of thing that you're talking about. It's a pretty decent amount of mana. It's not a massive amount of mana, but it is a considerable amount. It's going to be enough for us to do what we need to do. So we have 12 of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to split them up into, and I have an absolute mess in my inventory, split them up into threes. Let's just put back everything that has anything to do with applied energistics at this point, because we don't need it. We're not going to use it at all. I have pretty much reprogrammed my brain and redecided how we're going to do this. We are not touching half of that stuff. So basically all I do is put a few of these things away so that I don't have to worry about it anymore. We can put that away. That's a spare. We're going to keep on to this kind of stuff, and away we go. What we're going to do is we're going to use a mod that I very rarely ever use when it comes to things like this. And that's going to be integrated dynamics. Integrated dynamics has a couple of blocks that we can use to do the exact same thing, and they're programmable. Namely, what I wanted to do is I wanted to automate from the front to the back the production of mana, to include, as well as producing and placing down and picking up the netherrack blocks and the ore blocks using one singular machine. And with applied energistics, I thought I could do that. Integrated dynamics is the next step available to be able to do all of this in one go in the singular mod, just by itself, other than maybe the external timer that we're going to need to be able to understand when things are happening. So we have several little things that we're going to need. So first off, I need to figure out what I do have. I do have a variable store. I do have some variable cards. I do have some logic cables. I do have a few other things. What we need to do now is we need to kind of understand that this is going to happen in a couple of different directions. We're going to do the automation of the mana first, because this is going to be the one that's going to be the most finicky. It's going to require various other parts and pieces that we don't currently have ready to go. Namely, what we're going to need for one is we're going to need a Redstone Reader, which I think I can craft. Thank you very much, and we can put that away in there. We're going to need to be able to set out a time. We're going to need to be able to tune the time, and I'm not going to be using the timing system that is in this thing. We may eventually get to that point. The Redstone Reader has... Oh yeah, it won't work like that unless I place it down like so and then hook it up. We have the ability to be able to choose various redstone themes in here to include a clock, and that clock can be adjusted. I don't know how long the interval is. I'm going to be using something visual that I know works, and something that I do want to use, which is going to be a hovering hourglass with some soul sand in it. And the reason why I want to do soul sand is because of the fact that each block of soul sand is a minute, and the process for the floating thermal lily to go from producing to resting to being able to produce again is 5 minutes. So we'll be able to easily somewhat do that and let a few things run. Again, I'm not really concerned about this thing being absolutely 100% on all the time. I just need it to produce materials for us without us touching it. So we're going to use the Redstone Reader coupled with a hovering hourglass and a couple other little things to be able to sort this out. The other thing we're going to need is we're going to need a fluid interface that can attach a fluid tank to the network. Since we're already pumping lava, there's no point in having it do anything else. So let's make one of those. Let's make it in that terminal. So let's see, at integrated Integrated dynamics. We need a fluid importer. Imports fluids. Fluid interface. I want an interface, so I need a bucket and that. That thing will be able to attach to any one of the tanks that we have. Now, we also are going to need a world fluid. Where is it at? World fluid, item exporter, importer, exporter, item fluid, exporter, places fluids into the world. Now, this is going to be one of these where we need to do one of those, which is a fluid exporter, which is a fluid interface, which means I need to make a whole bunch more of those. So we're going to need at least 12 of these things, 13 of these things. So fluid interface. I need another bucket. Make a few more of these. I'm going to try to get most of this. I should have made another bucket. I need to do that one more time. Come on. Okay, cool. Done. 16. Neat. Now, we need to be able to make a fluid exporter times the amount of flowers that we have. So, fluid exporter. How many of those do we have, do you think? We don't have any, so we need to make... Oy. Cobblestone. I really should have just taken the time to set this up and make everything work. But that's okay. We'll do that. When we do get to that point, finally, we'll be hooking up other things to the system so we can actually get in the thing. Thank you. So we were making a variable something or other, right? Integrated dynamics. We need to make a output transformer. We were making those. Okay, just make a bunch of pistons. We'll be fine. Okay, so we needed a fluid exporter, so we'll need at least 12 of these, which means we need 12 of those, which I have no idea if I have enough of this. So 1, 2. Okay, plenty of those. Give me those back for the moment. Then I need a world fluid exporter, which is going to be a bunch of logic directors, which I don't think we have any of those currently right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12 of these to this, to that, to go. Did I not make the parts I needed? No, I didn't. Look at me. I'm so good at this game. 12. Thank you. And then we need those so we can get this out. And then we do this plus that. Some magic. All right. So this should be reasonably simple, easy to do at this point. Where is my programmer? I think we still have my programmer on us. It's right there. I think I want to make a little more cable. Cable. There it is, right there. I knew it was fairly close to the bottom and visible. Stuff is silly expensive. Whatever. We're going to have to raise some more trees. All right, so I have my variable store. I have a Redstone Reader. I have a logic cable. I have variable cards. I have a variable programmer. We have a thing to be able to pull stuff out of a tank and a thing to be able to place stuff into the world. We have a bucket of lava. We have a bunch of other little flowers, elven mana spreaders and things and such. So we're going to be using the elven mana spreader because we're going to be coupling one of these with 2 lilies so that we don't have a major backup problem because of the fact these things are going to produce a lot of mana and they're going to be producing it very quickly. I want to be able to blow through that and get them done and cleaned out and emptied out so that they can start their 5-minute cycle of I need to take a break because you made me work. The other thing I do want to do is I want to see whether or not we don't have we should not have one of those already, I don't think. Cool. So where there's a couple of more pieces we're going to need. I need another mana spreader, but at this time I want a redstone pulse mana spreader, so I should be able to do that if I go get a flower petal. I don't need 64 of them, but whatever. We'll just put that in here. And then I need a redstone mana spreader, mana, redstone spreader, which is that guy right there. And I also need to have a mana detector. Or 2, or 10, or 12. Oh, those are that. Okay. We'll make 3 for right now. All right. and just grab some of that just in case. I've never done it this way. I've usually used refined storage or something else along those lines to be able to make this function, but I do have an idea of how this is going to work. So, and it's really, really, well, it should say really, really, really simple, but it's another one of those. My brain has a hard time wrapping around things like this because of the fact of how just I'm not a programmer kind of an individual person. I'm not one of those persons that stare at code like it's the most exciting thing part of their day. I could absolutely care less about coding, and integrated dynamics is built around specific language forms. We're going to do it the poor man's way, where I know one specific thing I'm looking for, and that is what we were going to go for. So what I'm going to do is we're going to feed everybody into this tank right here, I should say this mana pool. We're going to go until this mana pool is full, empty, whatever. I doubt very seriously with the amount of mana this thing is going to use that we're going to have a problem um, with producing too much mana, because of the fact they are pretty heavy duty usable as far as mana goes. Where is my wand? Be right back. Okay, so just so that we kind of explain about what's going on here and why I'm building it over our whatever these things are, the lava mills. This chunk is loaded, so that means what we're going to do is we're going to build vertically inside this chunk just so that we can be kind of efficient on our chunk loading capabilities, because we're using the claim chunks mess in here. Yes, there's another one over there, which I don't know what it's for. I don't remember, but this is one we're going to want to try. Oh yeah, that's the one that has the pump in it. If I were to be a little bit more efficient, I could move everything down there, but that pump's going to move around. Anyhow, now that we have a wand, I should be able to tell that this is connected to that, because it says it's happy. It's going to be connecting, whatever down here. So what we want to do is we want to kind of start building the structure out that you guys kind of saw originally when we started doing this. It's not an impossible thing to do. I just want to make sure that they're not too far away from this. Mana spreaders, even the elven mana spreaders, take a couple of ticks to get between point A and B. So you want to try to make sure that they're not trying to push or produce or go too far away. So I also kind of want it to look reasonably decent, but I think I want them just a little bit further away than that so that we have the room for the wiring. So we're going to place those like this, and then I'm going to set 2 flowers down on top of that so that I can see them. And if we look right here, what we can see is we have our little monocle thingy on it that allows us to see the reach of the flower that we're currently looking at. Like if we look at this one, we can see he's pretty much quite a ways around him as well as under him. That's why we're building this up in the air. These guys are going to be capable, if you put them too close to each other, to be able to steal each other's lava. The same thing with the Gormalaeus. Gormalaeus does the exact same thing. They can steal the neighboring food or whatever from the other flower before the other flower can do anything with it, and then just not do anything with it. One of the worst parts about a therma lily is the fact, let's see if we can get back over to this book where I can show you. Therma lily is classified as a semi-automatable flower. If you're using nothing but straight Botania, I'll believe that. However, there is another way around things because of the fact that we're using a couple of other different mods. You can fully automate this thing to where you don't even have to touch it, and it'll produce a large amount of mana. However, the thing is, the amount of mana produced during the active period extremely high, serving as a very functional flower for when a quick boost is needed. Or if you can manage to kind of keep it somewhat running, you can keep a continuous flow of mana so long as you spread them around. Now, it takes a lot of them to do it. However, during a cooldown period, after of which the flower has produced all the mana it needs, it is going to wait for 5 minutes. Now, this number is rather special because it's a number that we all as a Minecrafter should know. It's the item despawn time. 5 minutes. If you throw something out on the ground, it's going to take 5 minutes to despawn. So it's going to wait 5 minutes before it will then be able to start over. However, if you place the lava, or place lava down, where's the button in here somewhere? After absorbing the lava, it will produce mana for around 45 seconds, or just count that as a minute so that you have an extra window of 15 seconds. After it stops, it needs 15 minutes before it can cool down to absorb more lava. However, if you, during that thing, put down more lava, it will consume it but not generate it. So what you don't want to do is place down lava in that amount of time. Now, like I said, there's a reason why that 5-minute timer is an interesting thing. If I leave that piece of redstone right there, it's going to take 5 minutes from now, from the time it hit the ground, until it despawns. Well, if you place that on top of a pressure plate and measure when that pressure plate no longer has redstone signal, you can start the cycle over again. So that as soon as the cycle starts, once everything else has been signaled or checked out or whatever, as soon as the flowers are done producing all of their mana, you then send a signal back out to drop another item on top of that pressure plate. That's how you're supposed to do it with this. We're going to do it using a hovering hourglass, and we're going to use a soul sand with exactly 6 pieces in it, because a soul sand with exactly 6 pieces in it will run for 6 minutes, which will give us a 15-second window where I don't have to mess with it at all, which is quite a long time. So what we're going to do is we're going to set these two guys up. You do not want to inject the lava right straight into their faces, and we're going to do this in a somewhat simple fashion of, I don't want to make too much of a fuss about it. So we're going to place our cable down. We're going to make sure that right behind them is where the fluid exporters are going to go. So that means the next one should be up there. There's going to be a block space in between them if I can manage to do it without having a problem. Yep, I got it. Cool. And these blocks are only just spacers, so I know where to put them. I don't even need to have them there as far as anything goes. If we wanted, we could just make glass out of that. We are going to capture, or at least collect, the area where the lava can go using chutes to make sure that it flows down no matter what, because I do not want to mess. It'll flow down and end up in one of those blocks down there. What I'll do is I'll end up capping the bottom off so that it can't go anywhere. Oh, wrong one. Anyhow, let's build this structure, which is going to be fairly simple, and I will pretty it up as we get things working. Now, these guys right here, we're going to have to teach them how to do things, and we're going to have to teach the whole system how to do things, and I knew I was going to forget one more thing, which is going to be the battery for the system. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to teach this how to do the work, and we're going to produce a couple of things in the process. So this is going to be the direction that we're going to have all of the functionality for that flower, so we'll leave that flower alone. Both of these are going to go this direction, so we're going to place our battery down here. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to put my variable store right there so that it's out of the way. And a variable store is basically a way for you to store callable things for later on. Variables, information, stuff you need to know, because of the fact that this is a pretty simple, heavy-duty mod when it comes to being able to be configurable. We're just interested in a couple of things. For one, I want to know what I did with that battery that I made a long time ago, which is not where it was. What did I do with those? Really? I know we have one somewhere. Hey, look, there was some parts. I will dig around, and we'll see you guys back in the nether in just a second. Okay, I got my little beady battery. I don't think we're going to need a massive one, and if we have to, we'll have to make a better one. But we're just going to put him underneath that little bitty thing right there, and then I am going to... What did I do with that flux point? Flux point's going to go right there, and that's going to inject the power into the system. So, now, we have a battery, we have a variable store, we can run our cables, which I believe these cables even have... They possibly have facades, so we can do something kind of similar like this. So let's grab that cable, bring it over here, and we're going to plug it into that battery. Now we're not going to build the full structure. There's structures. This whole system is going to be copied on to this side as well as this side, which I will do off camera. And then hopefully next episode we'll be automating that thing, since I'm sitting here busy blubbering around about how we're going to do this. But this is pretty much the easy part. I guess what we can do is try not to fall in the lava while we're at it. Let's put those back. and then I will build a piece of facade that goes down this line. One thing I like is I kind of tend to like to use mana glass when I get a chance for decoratory kinds of things, because of the fact when you're in the nether, it puts off light, so it lights up the platform that we're playing with, and it makes it look a little bit prettier. Anyhow, we have a couple of things that we need to work on. First off, we need to be able to tell this system how to work and when to work. So the first thing I want to do probably, and I think what we're going to actually do right around in this general area somewhere, is we're going to be building our Redstone Reader out. And this is where the problem comes, because of the fact the Redstone Reader is going to kind of be the thing that starts the whole process, along with this. Now, I don't know if it'll read like that. I kind of hope so, because that looks kind of decent. The only problem, I think, at that point is that I am going to be in the way, aren't I? Yeah, we can't do that. All right, we cannot do that. We're going to have to pick this one up. We will... I have to keep this... that block space, and that block space empty, because we need to be able to put elven spreaders in. Actually, let's go ahead and just do that right now so that we know where they go. Where did that go? Oh, it went up there somehow. No idea how. I also like mana glass because when you break it, it doesn't, you get it back. So we want our mana spreaders up here as well. I don't want to forget them. So we'll do that for right now. We'll train flowers to spreaders. So you to there, and a you to there, you to there, and a you to there, you to that. And then this is why we can't have a block right there, because it'd be shooting through the block and it's not happy. Okay, so that means our timing circuit is going to end up over on this side, which means that may end up moving a little bit further away. But that's fine. The flower can see through things. I want to make sure this looks somewhat reasonably decent looking. And again, I kind of want to make sure it's just relatively simple and easy to look at, and not terrible. So we'll put that down for now. What we need to do is we need to start creating a few variables, and these variables are pretty simple, easy to do. The first one we're going to want to do is when we get a redstone signal of hot. You know what, actually, yeah, I want to create a signal as redstone high. If I had a piece of sand, we could test that right now to be able to watch it. Do I have any sand? No. Great. Well, I'll deal with that later. I'm not worried about it. If it doesn't work, we can just move it over. We need a variable that'll tell us when that thing flips over, basically. So when it goes flip, I need to go bang over here. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is there's going to be the other two block spaces that we need to be able to do something with. I want to be able to make sure that these several block spaces are open, because we're going to place mana detectors right like this. Those mana detectors are going to be able to tell when this little bitty elven spreader right here is firing, so that we can then, and I'm hoping this is going to actually work, point this at the this pulse mana spreader that is designed to work off of redstone. We'll point at this hovering hourglass and pulse as these are pulsing, which means it's going to shoot a small, teeny tiny amount of mana at that hovering hourglass for the entirety of everything running around the outside of here. Now, depending on which side starts and however this thing decides it wants to work, I want to make sure that everything is shut off before this thing starts counting again. That's what's going to happen. The only way you can reset a hovering hourglass is to hit it with a mana burst. Basically, it's the only way you can do it. So we will be running probably a line of redstone or something around these guys so that they point into this one so that it shoots at that. For right now, I'm not really concerned about it. We're just going to make sure the majority of this guts work. And where is this clown? I do not want to listen to him. Can I have my sword, please? Thank you. Let's get back up to where we were now that we're, don't have to listen to that thing make noise anymore. Beautiful. Anyhow, we've got all this sorted out. Hopefully now the next thing we need to be able to work on, now that I have now since we were so rudely interrupted, I now have my variable card for what I need it to be. What I need to do now is I need to get into this system over here, and we need to kind of tell these guys what we're going to be using. And for that, we're going to be using the portable logic programmer, which we made a while back, so that I can signify on a variable card lava. Okay, so now we have our 2 logic cards. The fun part is after this, and this is where it really gets silly, I got to get all the way down here to the bottom. I think I can get it to like that if I do this. Where is it? I want a constant. I want a constant. I know this sounds really stupid, but basically what I want is I want an if statement. You know, if do kind of statement or if then kind of statement. So if my logic says redstone high, I want you to produce that out an interface. And I know that's probably not the simplest, easiest logic, or not the easiest way to do it, or maybe it's just my brain. But basically what that's going to do is that variable card is going to say, okay, well, you want to be able to do that, we can do that this direction. And I want to copy that thing 11 more times. All right, that's not going to work. I'm going to make a mess doing that. That's not cool at all. I forgot. Hang on a minute. Anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to place these variable cards into the place all fluid slot because it should work. Hey. Oh, right. We got to do the, hang on a minute. I got to put my variables in. Variable in the variable store is redstone and lava. And that should work now, right? Yes? Okay, cool. And then I got to do that for all of these. So give me one of those back. Yo, dude. Thank you. 1, 2, make one more just so we have the next copy. And then we can put you and you and you in there. So everything should be functional and everything should work. All I should have to do now is send a redstone pulse into that redstone receiver, technically, wherever I did with my button. Where is my button? Did I put it away? New. I need to go make a new button. Button, 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 button. Click, click, go, stone. And if I put a button on that spot right here. Oh, we have to do one more thing, don't we? We're not quite done yet. We still have to do something with this. Let's put him down there on the bottom. We'll put him downstairs so he's out of the way. Ow. We'll put it with our fluid interface. I'm like, I knew there was one more thing. We can't be done yet. Fluid interface. Tank. And since that says any fluids, those are the only fluids that it sees, poke the button. I was afraid it would do that twice, and that's a problem. That was the problem I was afraid of. So we're going to have to do a little bit of tuning on that. I don't need you, and I don't need you. And I don't need you. And I don't need you. No. Oh, shoot. No, no. Get out of the lava so you don't burn your junk. That's fine. Give me one of my cookies. Good Lord, fire, go out. Thank you. Wow, that was fun. That's the fun part about working over lava, but that was the whole reason why I had those going down that direction in the first place. So we may go ahead and fill those holes in. I don't know how I did that. That's cool. Did I get it covered up? I did. Okay, we're going to cover those holes up because that's a lot dangerous. Oh, those are that. Yeah, we'll just do that for now since there's no way for that to get out. Okay, so that's just as simple as a very, very short pulse versus what we're getting from that button, which is perfectly fine. The problem is now those guys are going to take 5 minutes before I can do any timing and fiddling around with them to make them work. But if we were to, at this point, do this and then place the soul sand in it, we're now kind of working in that little interium. What I want to do with this little system right here is I don't want to affect any of the upside of the top of these blocks. And for that matter, I mean, I could just pick one of the sides and feed it off of it. But we should be able to... Where is my... that stuff? Should be able to do something like that. Where is the wrench? Down, output, red, your red input. So cool. So that should clear. I don't know how that's going to react with those. That may be a problem. I would figure this is a block to it, and in which case we may have to just plumb it in underneath of it. That's fine, or around the corner, however. But basically what I want to do is, what this mana detector does is it detects when mana is being fired through it to the pool. It doesn't act like a solid block to the mana pool versus the spreader, but it detects when mana is flowing through it. What I want to do is every time that happens, I want to push a button. I want to reset the hovering hourglass. And again, the only way you can reset a hovering hourglass, which is one of those things I really don't like about it, is the ability to, or basically by hitting it with a, where is it? If a mana burst collides with the block, it'll stop the flow of sand and pause the timer. Colliding again continues it. So we may have to come up with a different kind of way of doing it. It'll drop single piece down every time a mana burst collides with it instead of blah, 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 blah. Hi! Holy moly! Come here, you. Get out of my life. Good Lord. We may have to enclose that. Anyhow, I was hoping that that would actually stop it, but apparently it's going to be one collision per. I may have to rethink my thoughts on that. There should be a way of being able to do a few things like that. We should be able to get a... Good God, that scared the heck out of me. Did he destroy anything? No. Okay, so we may have to do something a little bit different with this as far as that goes. But that's perfectly fine. I can come up with a way to flip-flop that or tick it around or do whatever we need to do. Or we may end up coming with a completely different clock. But at least for right now, this is what I wanted as far as being able to do the actual production of mana. So I think for right now, guys, because of the fact I'm still a little bit screwed up and I need to get this out today, I am going to call it right now. We will continue this next episode. We'll get the rest of this sorted both directions, and we will be building the rest of the integrated dynamic system around that flower, our wonderful little orchid Ignem, so that it can then start producing stuff for us to the point that whatever is dropped around or placed down around it will be turned into something that we can then pick up using integrated dynamics. So I guess until then, guys, thank you so much. This is a little bit better than what I was kind of having earlier on today, so we will continue on with this in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye now.